Guys, it's Vince. Today in this video I'm going to be discussing some business advice. I keep getting numerous messages ranging from what machine I recommend, someone initially purchasing with their recommended budget. They'll give me their budget and they'll, tell me this is what I want to produce. Um, Honestly, it starts there and then it ranges from, hey, I've got this product, what marketing strategy should I use, to how do I reverse engineer this and, do it simplistically to where I can get my software to work with it. The big thing I want to do is I've decided that these videos, I want to give you guys certain tools that you can utilize yourselves to make you profitable from the beginning. When I first got involved in designing the motion controllers that I've come up with, I wanted to make sure that you could be profitable right from the start. If you understood the software, if you understood the market you wanted to go in, you should be able to start producing parts pending you, again, have the knowledge of setting up your machine and, really taking the time and really delegating yourself to where it's like, I need to do this. I want to do this. Even if it's part-time, you will start finding that snowball, once it starts rolling, it grows very quickly. One part leads to two, and all of a sudden the profit margins just keep going up. China has been doing this for decades, and now we have the ability, especially with the internet, it's really leveraged the end user into a market now that is just tremendous for starting their own business. I mean, you don't need $100,000 anymore, and that was what I really wanted to do. I wanted to empower people. That being said, I want to give you guys tools. And one of the neatest tools that I've learned, and I've done this for quite some time, and I'm going to go over to you really quick, is a tool of how to reverse engineer a pattern that you're looking at. A lot of guys like artwork and inlay work. I do myself. This was a coaster that you see before you that was given to my girlfriend from her aunt in Hawaii. Again, you can see the Hawaii inscription here. And I liked the agricultural pattern inside it, so I wanted to pull it out of it. If you guys utilize these tools that I start covering, you're going to find that you virtually cannot not make money with this. The big question here is, how much are you trying to make? That's the big thing. If you keep your overhead low enough, which again, we're looking at a piece of wood that's probably 4 millimeters in thickness. I mean, it's nothing. It's a simple coaster. You're fine. Okay, I mean, I don't see their overhead being, a huge margin. And again, you don't have to make this size. I believe was 4x4. You don't have to do it that size. You could go 3x3. You could make it any size. Again, variables are arbitrary, so you can do whatever you'd like. Overall, what I wanted to do is implement a tool system that you could use and copy this tool system with your own products to help you guys become empowered. And that's the thing. There's, education is everything. I love learning things. Manufacturing is the key. The more we become in tune with it, the more profitable you'll become. So that being said, I'm not going to cover doing this on the cheap. And when I say on the cheap, I don't believe in doing things half-assed. Anyone who's worked with me will tell you I don't cut corners. Everything is done right. If a hole needs a drilled hole, it will get a drilled hole. I don't like doing things to where, again, it's marginal. Okay, if you're trying to supply a product to someone, invest in the right amount of tools to do the job right, and your products will be amazing. And I cannot emphasize that enough. Are my controllers the cheapest on the market? They're not. But they're not because I look at what I do and I have pride in what I do, and I know that when I give you something, I'm giving you something that I built, number one, and number two, that I myself build to my own spec for myself. So again, that's what you're paying for, and that's the way I look at everything. If I'm doing a product for you or anybody else, whether it be a controller or even producing parts like this, that's something I look at. Again, you'll have to analyze that for your own business model and make sure, hopefully it's in the same frame of mind, because again, there's a lot of crap online, especially on YouTube and the internet, and I'm trying to, cut through some of it, give you guys a little leverage as far as understanding some tools that I use. That being said, I'm going to jump right in. I took a white piece of just regular printer paper, and the reason I did is because it gives us a nice contrast between the image and this. Okay, I snapped a picture with a 16 meg digital camera. Again, I use a camera. You can use whatever you like. I know a lot of people have high-end cell phones. If they want to use their cell phone, so be it. Again, the crisper the image is, the more detail you'll be able to extract easily. That being said, once we do that, you can see the pattern in the back is all set to go. Okay, we can see now very easily. You can see some black dots because I believe this was laser cut. Okay, and I have a lot of guys that will ask me, how do I take, how do I extract the patterns or how do I extract shapes? This video will cover most of that, and again, some of the tools you may have, some of the tools you may not. Overall, you can see the shape now is clearly defined. Now the question is, which way do you want to go? You have a couple ways of going. And what I mean to say is you can execute extracting the shape one of two ways. The first way is probably one of the easiest ways, especially if you're just okay with graphical software. I would recommend getting a can of spray paint. It would recommend, and again, it would also require you actually having a sacrificial part that you want to work with. If you don't have a sacrificial part, I'll get into that in a minute, but overall, that's really what we would want to start with, is the sacrificial part. You can see I masked off, I used actual paper again, just typical printer paper, and I went around the object, and again I used just borders, just those borders, so that you'd have a tape line more or less. Okay, overspray would be caught on this side, which we really don't care about, but you'll have a break of white right here because again this is all taped off and masked. Once you spray this and you go over it a couple coats, you're going to get a really defined image. Okay, a really defined image. Once you have that, and again you'll have it in black, once you remove your piece, and of course it'll be painted black, once you remove this piece out of the way, you'll be left with the shadow of a template, more or less. You're using it as a template, a painting template. You'll be left with the shadow, which is created by the black paint, and then you could go into your graphic software, remove the background, because you're going to have a nice break of white going from your overspray over here to white right here, and you'll have your pattern and you're ready to reverse engineer it. Now, I get guys telling me all the time, I don't want to do that. I don't want to spend the money to sacrifice the part. Well, okay, there's another way to do it. It requires a little more money, actually a lot more money, depending upon what your budget is. But I can tell you that, again, all of my tools will pay for themselves very quickly, pending you understand how to use them. And I say that all the time. It's all based on how much time you're willing to dedicate to learning the tools that are available. Okay, so once we do this, you've got that choice. I'm going to show you now how to do it digitally and remove the background. And again, the software I choose to use is Vinyl Master. I took that picture, I just imported it, and again I just did it with the background, no big deal. I used this one, it's really nothing. And then what I'm going to do is, you can see I just forwarded the software. I'm not showing you every process because I don't want to bore you. If you are interested in learning the process, it's no big deal. What I actually did is I went into Mask Tools, and you can see Mask Tools lets me remove, because again this is graphical software, the background, which is exactly what I did. I removed the background, I went in, and you could see even these dots, if you remember in the original picture, these were solid. They were just actually like burn marks. I wanted mine to actually be holes. So the software doesn't know anything other than a differential of colors. So once I go to remove those holes, I just click on them and it removes them. Now I have a rough draft of what I'm working with. Okay, you can see exactly what I'm working with here. Once I get that done, I vectorize the image. Once the image has been vectorized, I'll show you exactly what we're left with, is this. You can see that now all the dark spots inside the image is gone. Again, it's a rough image. You can see that there's some spots that are kind of iffy. Well, this is the brilliance behind using graphical software, because CAD is CAD, whether it's graphical software or you're dealing with just straight up CAM software. It's the same principle. One is cutting vinyl, one is cutting solid base substrates. Again, they work hand in hand though for reverse engineering. Once again, I'm going to say that they work hand in hand for reverse engineering. It's knowing and understanding what you're working with. What we're going to do now is I'm going to forward the software. Actually, being this is already done, I'll go through the whole process of creating that inlay. I'm going to go create cut contour, which now you can see all the rough edges and everything. We're not worried about that. What I'm going to do is set my outline in units, and I'm going to drop it down to where I go down to 0 inches. When I go down to 0 inches, it's now right around the line, but you can see it didn't trace anything here, so I click on keep holes. Now it traced everything. Excuse me. Now what we got is a tracing. So if I come out over here, there's our contour cut, which is basically a vector. I can fill this vector. I can do whatever I want, and there's your image. You can see how rough it is though, right? Most guys will be like, well, that's unusable. I couldn't use that. Well, you couldn't use it if you didn't understand the software, and that's why I said you want to understand the software in as much detail as possible. Invest your time like you would going to college or going to any technical school into learning this software, because this is your moneymaker right here. That being said, I'm now going to switch it out. I'll go over here. Let's see, we'll go to fills. We'll add a pen outline so we can visually see everything. I don't want green. I'm going to go with black. And now you can still see we've got really rough edges. I mean, this really looks rough. And really, realistically, the easiest way to do this, being this is now connected and joined, if I go to delete something, you can see I don't want this outside border. So what I want to do is click on this, and I'm going to go curves, and I'm going to click break apart. Now it's separated it. So now I can get and extract my image, but you can still see things are rough. You know, it's not looking as clean as we'd like. So what I would do is I would come in here, and again, we have a thick line on this, which at 7/1000ths of an inch for this, it's just too much. So we'll go down to maybe 3. See what we get. See if the software will cooperate, because again, this image is kind of rough. And if it won't cooperate, very simple, we'll just back up. And we'll go like this, and we'll go like this, come back, and go like this. And I'll go right back to this. And all I did was Control and Z. Some certain types of imaging, it will make too thick. Being I broke it up, it made it too thick to go with. So what I'm going to do to make this streamline, and again to show you just how quick this is, we'll come over here. We'll go break apart because I backed out of doing that. You can see now it's all one piece, but now it's on that the dotted line showing the cut. And now what we'll do is we'll zoom in on any of these rough edges, where again you can see how you have like certain images that just look rough. And I'll node edit all of this. I can come up here to replace section. I can pick smooth connector, tangent connector, line connector. It's like CAD, guys. It's like the same thing. You can see all your nodes. You can come up here, it'll smooth that out in 2 seconds. I can come over here, watch how quick this is. Now if I don't want that angle, again you can see where the angle moved. I get guys that'll ask me constantly about, you know, keeping everything as true as possible. You can see just how quick this is. I'm just going to go down to the angle. Once it reaches that angle that I like right there, we're good. And it's smoothing all of this out. And you can see right there where that line is, where that node is, it's going to come over here and just level it out. Now over here where you got that rough spot, boom, and you can keep doing this to give you the exact image that you're happy with. Okay, so you've just went through, I've just done this whole section, and again if you're not happy you can go the other way too, and that'll give you even a smoother line depending upon the angles we're dealing with geometry. So again, you can see how quick this is, and you're left with what you're left with. You can clean this image up. You now have an inlay work that you can actually work with, and what's so great about Vinyl Master that I love is it exports in DXF. So EPS, DXF, you can export these, and again, you're transpiring graphics. We're transpiring the image that we're taking the inlay work, and we can take that and reverse engineer it for ourselves, and again, it didn't cost you anything other than the software. Now, I get questioned all the time, how much is the software? This version that I have, I just upgraded to the Expert. It's about $1,000 for Expert. Now, do you need Expert? Absolutely not. You can get a lower grade version. I wouldn't recommend, if you're going to do stuff like this, I would not recommend going beneath pro level version, because again, certain tools are going to be available in pro level that you use more than the basic cut versions and LTR, and that's really what you have to evaluate. Like I said, guys, I don't half-ass things because I understand the potential of what I'm dealing with. I understand that this software makes me money by just basically taking a picture, and like stuff like this, you could see, I mean, this stuff you could sit here, you know, if you don't mind doing node editing for hours on other software, you can do that if that's what you choose. Overall, though, I like to do it quick. And that's why I say if you can come over here, especially on stuff like this, you can zoom in as much as you'd like. You've got this right here that you would just go through, and each node, I'm just erasing each node, and you can see there's so many of them, it'll take quite some time. But overall, you can go through, do all your node editing, and even if I started with these lines right here, I can click on the smooth connector. You can see all of our nodes, and then we just come over here, right out, right out. That's what I like. I like smooth, I like simple, because I know when I'm done with this design, the only thing stopping me from putting this into my library is the fact of how fast I can do this. You know, and you can see the software's auto tracing. It's telling you where the connection of nodes will be. Something to think about. Again, as far as investing of where you want to go, or right click on it, I can stop that. I can come over here, and again, this is a great example of where it was rough. Right there, rounding it all out, making it look beautiful. So when you guys are questioning about software, and this happens a lot, I get guys that'll say to me, you know, why is software so expensive? This is why it's so expensive, okay? It's so expensive because it saves you the time and makes you the money, okay? If you're using it right, and that's what real CAM production software is. It's actually for manufacturing. It's made to make you money. So you have to keep that into consideration as you look at any of these softwares, whether it be Vinyl Master, anything for vinyl, anything for photography, graphical programs. That's why these programs are so expensive. But hopefully in this video, you guys got to see exactly a tool that you can use. And again, like I said, the great thing about Vinyl Master, and this is another thing I really like, is the fact that they give you basically a 0% interest rate to actually fund purchasing the software. So even if you don't have the money up front, your monthly fee on like Vinyl Master Pro, I think, is like 25 bucks a month. I think they can do up to 18 months now. There's no credit check. You use a debit card. If you don't have it, you can use this software immediately. You don't have to, again, you know, kill yourself as far as, okay, well, the investment's huge. You're talking 300 bucks, guys. $300 to give you guys the potential to do what I just did here. You can clean this image up in probably an hour or two. And again, is it going to have all the features of my expert? No, it's not. But do you need all the features? I do graphics too, so I do. If you don't, and all you want to do is be able to clean up images and do reverse engineering real simple, especially on images like this, it's a joke. It's very, very simple to do, and it'll give you the patterns you want. And again, you're doing it not half-assed. We're not looking at doing this over the course of 3 weeks. We're not looking at, you know, complicated, you need this, you need that. I'm showing you one simple method to use. Is it the only method? Absolutely not. You could definitely do the painting idea. It works excellent. Just spray it. You'd spray the image, and again, you could see where it's all white here. This would all be black. You'd separate it by coming into Mask Tools. And then once you come into Mask Tools, you could then remove the background, and you see exactly where you're going. And then once again, it does the trace. And once it does the trace, I'll show you. She's just going through now and articulating what it finds. Again, the image size is huge. Right now it's 4608 by 3456, so your pixels are really high. There you go. We'll go one more trace. And now you'll see all those lines pop up. There we go. And you can see some artifacts, and that's what's so amazing, is that it doesn't even matter that it's there. You're just getting a rough print, more or less, to see and work with. And once you get that rough image, you can then take the inlay and just refine it yourself of whatever you'd like. And again, I'm showing you just a one-dimensional effect of this. If you really wanted to, you could take this, take the measurements. I mean, it just depends on how scientific you want to be. Again, the holes I added over here, you can virtually change anything you like. But overall, this is a method I've used and still use. Again, I wanted this image myself. I use it all the time, so that I don't have to worry about if I see something that I like, I can take that right there. This is just an image shape. It's not patented. This is not, you know, a big deal. But a lot of times you see something you like, and you're like, man, I know I could use that on a project. And now you know basically a way to extract it. Now, if you have Corel, if you have Adobe, you can do it within them as well. Doing the nodes in that, you're going to have some problems with. I know some of them will do it, but I don't know if the editing is as simple as this. This is very, very easy editing in Final Master because, again, graphics and CAD are virtually the same. So it's just a matter of what you're willing to invest in. Like I said, the great thing is it's a low investment. Even at $300, you should be able to pay that off within a year very easily, especially if you're producing anything of value like this. And again, it's that simple. So hopefully this is a tool, again, you guys can see the potential in. And the big thing here is just how you want to go. You can even manipulate. You can see you can take the shapes. You can maneuver them any way you want. If you don't like that, you can come back. Again, it's just like CAD software. It's the exact same thing. The big thing here is the simplistic form. As a matter of fact, to be absolutely technical, you could probably get away with engraving. The software does have an engraving module. You could probably get away with engraving with this software at an absolute base level. There isn't tooling involved. It doesn't give you all the fine tuning that you would get with typical CAD CAM, but it does incorporate an engraving module on the higher end versions like Pro and Expert. So keep that in mind. That shows you the absolute, that line is very thin between graphics and doing actual inlay work with a router or with a mill. It doesn't matter. It doesn't differentiate other than G-code. So keep that in mind. And again, hopefully this has been intuitive. Like I said, I really want to give you guys something that you can work with and that you can really build upon. I want you guys to have the tools. I don't want you to think that this equipment is just going to sit in a corner till you're off on the weekend and decide to cut parts. Hopefully you're spending this kind of money so you can start making money with the machine as soon as you get it set up, as soon as you take your time and learn the hardware, to where you're able to get everything calibrated, get your first cuts done, and then you're ready to start listing and making some money on different products. I really hope that's what your intention is, because that's what my intention is. I don't want you guys to just do blank investing and just look at more or less I'm just going to sit this machine in the corner for a weekend warrior project. That's not the goal. If you could cut 1 or 2 projects a day and do some listings, do some calculations as far as finding out the market you're in, and really dictate to yourself what kind of investment strategy you have as far as raw material and where you're going with products, you'll definitely make money with this. And honestly, it's not difficult because, again, your overhead is so low, there's virtually no way you don't profit. You're not paying. I'm not talking about the guys that have shops that they're paying for locations on. I'm talking about a guy with a separate, maybe his basement, his outbuilding, his garage, as long as it's climate controlled and everything is set properly, using your head, executing common sense all the time. Remember, you're dealing with high-end electronics. You want to do it right. And that's really what we're trying to do, is build you a robot to make you money. So I hope this video has been helpful. Again, I will cover in as much detail some more projects for you guys to use, or I should say tools to use, to really use with your projects to make you guys as profitable as possible. The next thing I want to tell you guys too, and I get this, I've been having some time, I should say this has been happening for some time now, and I really want to discuss it, and that is, if you guys ask me for a price and I give you a price, and you really haven't looked at the market, tested the market for support, tested the market about, knowledge. And when I say knowledge, guys, look at the broad spectrum of everything. Don't just look at who's got the biggest website, because I know in this actual niche, there's not many websites for actual CNC equipment. Most of it's overseas. The ones that are here are far and few between. There's like 2 or 3. I choose eBay, which is probably the toughest market, because I let you guys be my critic. I want you guys to see that I stand behind everything I sell, that I'll go the extra mile. That's what I do. I also only carry certain products. You guys notice that I only deal with Gecko. I only deal with the products that I engineer. I don't deal with products that are just bulk, direct flip. I don't do that. If I test it and I know it works, or I engineer it, then I'll go with it. But I control all of my quality control, as you would on you producing your own products. So when you get a quote from me, measure that. measure that value. I can't tell you how many guys message me, hey, what's wrong with my equipment? They didn't buy it from me. And they'll ask me, what's wrong with my equipment? I don't say, hey, you know what? It's $50 an hour, $100 an hour. I don't do that. I tell them what I think it may be. I direct them in the right position, and they'll go from there. A lot of times guys forget time is money. And in this industry, it's way more valuable than most industries because it usually dictates profit. If I'm investing in you and telling you what's wrong with your machine means you're most likely going to make a profit off that because that's what this equipment was designed for. I don't know what you're doing with your machine, nor do these other manufacturers. I've had guys tell me point blank, I will not call the manufacturer of the equipment they've purchased from because they know they're going to charge them $500 an hour. Well, guys, that's a kick in my nuts, putting it mildly, because if I'm willing to give you the advice for free, I feel like, well, God, I'm giving you the advice for free, and then I give you a quote, and then you come back to me with the quote and say, well, can you go cheaper than this? If I delegate, reducing these components out of a bundle package, will the package go down? Actually, the package tends to go up, and let me explain why. Okay, it's simple math. If the more you buy from me, the lower my profit margin has to be to give me the dollar amount that I should make. If you lower the amount of parts you're buying, then naturally that bundle would go up because, again, you're buying less, which means my profit margin has to go up so I can be in business. It's no different than any other business there is. The big difference is you do get support. You do get the backbone to say, hey, you know what? Something happened, Vin. I need something fixed. Okay, let's see what it is. Let's talk about it. 9 out of 10 problems I can fix over the phone. The only thing I can't fix over the phone is what you're seeing and what you're listening to. Typically, we can go over, if you've tested everything the way I'll delegate you to test things. I get a lot of messages on tech support where it's, the wire is this, or is this plugged in right, or, I don't know, the machine's making an odd noise. Odd noises are very hard to dictate, especially if you don't know what you're listening to. If you're a novice, there's no way other than watching a YouTube video, if it's right or wrong. The question is, what may be right or wrong for your machine is a variable that's arbitrary. So we have to dictate all of that. But keep in mind, I stay in phone contact with everybody. I try to do that. I do these videos. I can tell you right now, no one's giving you the tools that I just gave you. I just gave you a tool that you should be able to profit with virtually immediately. Now, whether or not you purchase that software or do it a different way using graphical programs, you could do it any way you'd like. It works. It's very simple to do. And again, it's up to the end user to implement, that type of strategy in their business model. But again, keep that in mind as you guys shop, as you guys, weigh everything. Weigh it from a business perspective. I am not in this as a hobby. When I get messaged, I'm doing things I donate a lot of the work for, religious purposes. That's nice. I have to feed my family. I'm not doing this for, just to donate my work. I don't have that luxury. Just like most of you go to work to feed your family. So when you're asking me for a quote and then you tell me that in the beginning that my budget is very low, I'm retired and this and that, look at what you're getting involved in. Think about what you're getting involved in. I'm selling business models, guys. You buy this equipment, you've got, all you need is an idea and you're ready to cut. It's that simple. And again, we know where the technology is. We definitely know what the technology is. This is what's happening. So I hope this video and I hope my other videos will help you. Watch them. I can't emphasize that enough. Take the time. Don't watch them for 5 minutes. They're usually longer if they're more in depth, but I try to cover many items in detail as possible. If you have questions, message me. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But overall, I want you guys to be empowered. I want you guys to make money. That's the overall goal. I love entrepreneurs, and personally, I know, as being one, you can be successful using this equipment if you understand, again, the software, your equipment, the hardware. I would definitely say software over hardware, because once you get the machine set up and calibrated, if you keep up with preventative maintenance on it, it's virtually, a very simple process. The big thing is executing common sense. build your structure around that, and you guys will all be profitable, and that's what my goal is. So again, if you guys need anything, let me know. My name is Vince. My store on eBay is eDealers Direct Automation. If you need anything, I'll get back to you usually within a couple hours, sometimes 24 hours. Right now it's peak season, so again, I'm much busier than I usually am. Please understand that. I mean, I can't emphasize that enough. Hopefully it's been helpful though. Thank you guys. Take care.